Everybody, Andy here again. Right, we're now just about to enter week 3 of the World Cup, and I thought I'd do another one of these what have become regular vlogs about the World Cup and what's happening and my thoughts, etc. Never really intended to do this, but I've been watching far more of the World Cup, far more of the football than I anticipated for a number of reasons, which I'm not going to go into here. So we're just about this. Really, we've reached the sort of the second half of the tournament, haven't we? All the sort of group matches have literally been finished. They finished last night. The first of the knockout matches are due to start in a couple of hours. So I thought this was a good time to sort of re-evaluate. I know I've moaned about the quality of the football, but things have got a bit better. I mean, some of the matches in the last week, teams have started to assert themselves a little bit more, and they started to sort of get their legs. Some teams have gone out. For example, the Italians have gone out, crashed out, whichever way you want to put it. The French famously as well. And of course, then we come to England. And I watched the match the other night with trepidation, yes. And we played a lot better than we have done in the past. We had to. We didn't really have any choice. But we're still not there, are we? If you're English, that is. If you're watching this somewhere else, you might be a USA supporter, and they're doing pretty well as well, actually, as it happens. Obviously, they got through the group as well. I think they're playing today, aren't they? Anyway. England, yes, still disappointing, I think. Number of reasons. They only scored 1 goal. They should really be scoring a lot more. We've got the same problem with Wayne Rooney that Spain have got with Torres as well. Doesn't seem to be able to score a goal. Seems a bit out of sorts for whatever reason. If it's fitness, confidence, lack of touch or whatever it is, I don't know. And I think there's the case with both of them that if they do score a goal, that's it. The floodgates will probably open, but that needs to happen now on both of their occasions. So obviously tomorrow England play Germany, that old rivalry, and yes, I'd rather have seen them play just about anybody than Germany, especially if we beat them. We possibly get the opportunity to play Argentina in the next round. And the trouble with that is, over here, there's this real jingoistic claptrap that comes out every time we play someone like Germany or Argentina as well, and it would be the same if we get that far as well, because all these war references come out. The fact that the First World War, the Second World War, with Argentina, the Falklands War, and there's all this jingoistic, as I said, claptrap that comes out, and it really annoys me, and it really shows the British press or the British media. I don't think the general population feel it in quite the same way. Personally, they're forced into it, they're force fed it, and I think that the media, some aspects of the media, are really over the top with this, and I think it's dreadful. I really do. I tweeted something earlier on. I've written down what I put, and I put, this is a war reference. Unfortunately, this goes against what I was saying. To paraphrase Winston Churchill, never in the football field of human history has so much rubbish been written by so many and read by so few. Because my paper, which is the paper that I only ever buy a paper on a Saturday, it's what you class one of the quality papers, I suppose. Even in there, they've got 5 or 6 pages of this stuff, and even they've got references to that sort of aspect of it, and they're putting stuff in, and you think, why are you talking about it? Why do you have to mention the word Kaiser about Franz Beckenbauer or any of these other aspects of comparing the two cultures in art or sport or whatever, songs or it's awful. There's no need to do that. It's a football match, for God's sake. It's not a war. We're not going to go to war with Germany ever again, hopefully. I don't think so anyway. Those times have gone past. So please just concentrate on what should be a football match, and hopefully it will be a football match. In some ways, I think this puts pressure on players, it puts pressure on supporters as well. It's hardly surprising they start fighting each other in the streets, because they've been wound up so much by all this utter rubbish that's been printed in the press and spewed out on radio and news bulletins on the TV and all this sort of stuff. So there you go. How we'll do, I don't know. One thing I will say, and I said this before the last match that England played, personal opinion this one, but I honestly believe that now is the time for England to have an English manager again. Yes, we've had English managers in the past, some have obviously been more successful than others, but I really don't think that the foreign manager, in my humble opinion, really does us any good. There's a language barrier for a start. We had it with Mr. Ericsson, and now we've got it with Fabio Capello as well. Yes, he speaks some English. Not his fault, is it? He's an Italian, for God's sake. It's not hardly his fault. Yes, he's earning a fortune. We've got other people, in my opinion, who could do a better job or as good a job and inspire the team with a bit of patriotism. There's nothing wrong with patriotism, but it needs to be done in the right way. People that can inspire that sort of passion. And that brings me on to the next thing I was going to talk about, because now we're into this sort of stage, we're into that knockout, sudden death type of stage, and we've all weighed up the teams, and we're all thinking now, right, who's going to win the World Cup? I was having this discussion actually with my son last night after, we were sort of talking about the football and everything like this, and I said who I think is going to win the World Cup, and personally, I think it's going to be Argentina. Now, the reason for that is because of their manager. Yeah, whatever you think about Diego Maradona, and he was a brilliant footballer. He had his faults, obviously. We all know about those faults, or certainly some of them, the problems that he's had since he stopped playing football. And people would argue, purists and that, would probably say that as a manager, he hasn't really got a great deal of coaching background. He maybe doesn't understand those sort of nuances of the coaching system and even managing things. But if you look at the way that he interacts with his players. You look at that team and the team spirit and the passion, the patriotism, the pride, or whatever it is that you want to call it, amongst that team and the reactions that they have when they score a goal, the togetherness about that team, it's better than any team I've seen anywhere. Just look at the way some of those other teams have gone. We all know the example, probably know the example of France. They self-destructed all problems within the team, problems with the manager. We had the same thing with England, and I think it's still there's that undercurrent of it there. We had it after the second match, which was a bad performance. Certain people speaking out within the team, other people having to defend them, and then the manager having to say this and that. With the Argentinian team, there isn't that. They're having a great time. I actually read something in the paper this morning about that. Then, the way that Maradona runs that team, yes, he allows them to do things that other people won't. They're allowed to have sex with their wives or girlfriends. They're allowed to have the odd drink or something. They're allowed to eat chocolate and things like that, but all in moderation. They're not sort of secreted away like monks or something in a monastery, which is exactly the way that some people are. Because if you do that, you're disturbing their natural sort of rhythms in lots of ways. So that's my own personal opinion. I think they're going to win, and that's the reason, apart from the fact that obviously they're a good team, they haven't been playing badly, they've got some excellent world-class footballers, but they are ultimately a team, and that team will play for that manager, and that manager will give his all for that team and for that country as well, and there's a lot to be said for that, I think, and ultimately that's the sort of thing that could tip the balance when it comes to a final, whatever it might be. You need that little bit extra. They just look over on the bench, and there's that inspirational figure there, a person they all admire, respect, love even, and he's the one that will drive them forward. I said I'm not his biggest fan, but that's just a personal opinion. So there you go, that's the end of this particular one. I'll probably do another one next week, but I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Who you think, now we've got through this, we've got rid of half the teams, we're down to the last of the 16, who do you think's going to win the World Cup and why? And let's have a look, and who knows, in a couple of weeks one of us might even be correct. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks for your time. I'll speak to you again soon. Goodbye.